Have you ever noticed how some older adults, those who were once active, witty, and full of life well into their 70s, suddenly begin to fade after turning 80? It doesn't always happen with a dramatic event. More often, it's quiet. They stop going to gatherings. Their routines change. The sparkle in their eyes dims. Their voices grow softer. It's as if a part of them is slowly retreating from the world, one invisible step at a time. There's one thing no one tells you about aging. You don't just grow old because of disease. You begin to disappear because of the habits, rhythms, and connections you silently let go of. And that slow unraveling often starts right around the age of 80. Most people believe longevity is written in our genes, in medication bottles, or sheer luck. But from what I've seen, working for over a decade with older adults in clinics, homes, and care centers, that's only a sliver of the truth. The real reasons why so many struggle to live fully beyond 80 are often hidden in plain sight. These aren't the typical red flag lifestyle choices you hear about like smoking or bad diet. These are the subtle, everyday shifts that chip away at vitality without a sound until one day someone says, "He just hasn't been the same." In today's video, we'll uncover 5 overlooked and powerful reasons that quietly shorten life and dull the spirit in your 80s, and more importantly, we'll show how you can take control of them starting today. If you're caring for aging parents, navigating this chapter yourself, or simply planning ahead for a strong future, you're in the right place. What fades can be revived. And sometimes, one small change is enough to reverse the slow fade and bring life back into motion. You see, I've sat with people who lost their spark after retirement, and I've seen others in their 90s light up a room simply because they refused to stop growing. The difference? It wasn't pills. It was purpose, rhythm, and connection. And the first reason we'll explore might be happening to you right now, without you even realizing it. So don't go anywhere. You'll want to see how this unfolds. And before we begin, I have one request. If you find this message meaningful, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos designed to help you age with strength, dignity, and joy. And when something in this video resonates deeply, whether it reminds you of someone you love or hits close to your own experience, please leave a comment right then. Let's make this space one where stories, struggles, and strength are shared. Because sometimes, knowing we're not alone is all it takes to start healing. Now let's move forward and explore the first quiet reason so many older adults begin to lose their spark after 80, the slow disappearance of microsocial engagement. Reason 1. Loss of microsocial engagement. You don't need to lose all your friends to feel isolated. Sometimes, it only takes losing the little interactions, the ones so small, you don't even realize they're gone. A friendly nod to your neighbor. A smile to the mail carrier. A short joke with the cashier. These aren't grand connections. They're what researchers call microsocial engagements, and they play a far bigger role in longevity than most people ever realize. When I worked with a gentleman named Alan, 85, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "It's not the big holidays that make me feel alive. It's the 5-second hello I used to get from the dog walker every morning. I didn't even know his name, but he saw me, and I saw him. That mattered." Alan's health started to decline not after a heart attack or major diagnosis, but after he stopped sitting on his porch. He told himself he was just tired, but in truth, something deeper was missing: belonging. As people age, especially after 80, they often start opting for convenience or safety. Online grocery delivery replaces trips to the market. Family members run errands instead. The world grows quieter. And slowly, imperceptibly, they begin to withdraw. Not just from activity, but from the subtle energy exchange that reminds the brain and body that you still matter. What most people don't realize is this: these tiny interactions aren't just pleasant, they're essential medicine. Science backs it up. Microsocial exchanges stimulate the vagus nerve, regulate heart rate, and reduce cortisol. They strengthen neural circuits that support memory, attention, and emotional regulation. But when they vanish, so do those benefits. It's like the lights dimming slowly in a room, until one day, you can't read the words on the page anymore. And tragically, by then, most people don't even remember what they lost. And that's the danger. You don't notice these disappearances right away. You think you're simplifying life, but you're actually cutting off one of the most life-sustaining rhythms you've had all along: connection, even in its tiniest form. So if you've stopped chatting with people in line, if you've been avoiding outings because of bad weather, sore knees, or just habit, it's time to pause and ask, when was the last time I felt casually seen? Because here's what I've learned over the last decade: You don't have to be surrounded by people to feel connected, but you do need to be seen, heard, acknowledged. And when those tiny threads of connection are restored, people come back to life. I've seen it again and again. So let this be your gentle nudge. Go outside. Smile at a stranger. Chat with a barista. Let the world know, I'm still here. Because every time someone sees you, your body receives a signal that it's still alive, still needed. And that's some of the most powerful medicine you can give yourself. Green circle. Now let's move forward. Because while connection keeps the mind alive, movement keeps the body strong. And in the next section, we'll look at how being too careful with your body can slowly take your independence away without you even realizing it. Reason 2, overcautious inactivity. And once those quiet social threads begin to fade, there's something else that almost always slips away with them: movement. Not because your body is broken, but because your mind begins to whisper warnings. After all, isn't caution a sign of wisdom? That's what we tell ourselves. I'll skip today's walk just to be safe. I'll stay seated a little longer. Let someone else handle the stairs. We start reducing our motion out of care, but slowly and silently, we start losing the very thing that keeps us alive. You think you're being smart, but what no one warns you is this: being too careful can become its own quiet form of self-erasure. I've seen it in so many people. One moment of hesitation, a stumble on the porch, a misstep on a rainy sidewalk, and suddenly a life filled with activity becomes a life lived sitting down. Teresa was one of them. 84 years old, bright-eyed, independent. Then one small fall outside her home, nothing broken, but something inside her shifted. She stopped going for walks, told herself she needed to recover, just temporarily. But that temporary pause became a habit, and that habit slowly unraveled her strength. 6 months later, she needed a walker. Not because she was ill, but because her body, once so capable, had forgotten how to move. And worse, she had forgotten that she still could. That's the thing. Your body isn't some fragile machine that needs constant rest. It's more like a living garden. It thrives when tended to, when stretched and strengthened and reminded it has a purpose. Movement is water, sunlight, oxygen. It keeps your joints fluid, your heart working, your muscles activated, your nervous system alert. And when movement stops, not because of real limitation, but because of fear, the body listens. It says, okay, I guess we're not needed anymore. And it begins to let go. Bit by bit, balance worsens, muscles shrink, bones weaken, until even standing feels unfamiliar. And tragically, this decline isn't loud, it's silent. It doesn't come with warning lights. It arrives quietly, disguised as logic. But ask yourself, have you stopped moving because something truly changed, or because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't? That distinction matters. Because protecting yourself shouldn't mean disappearing from your own life. There are wise ways to stay safe: gripping shoes, clear hallways, using a cane or walking stick when needed. But these tools should support movement, not become excuses to avoid it. So if today you haven't stretched, stepped, or reached, make this the moment you do. Even a single movement is a message to your body that you still want to engage with life. You're still here, still part of the world, and you're not finished yet. And that brings us to something else we often overlook: the one journey your body takes every day that determines how well everything else functions: your sleep. Not just the number of hours, but the rhythm, the light that enters your eyes, the signals your brain receives. Because without it, even motion becomes harder. Memory dulls. Immunity weakens. So in the next section, we'll look at the hidden impact of disrupted sleep cycles and how something as simple as getting the right kind of light can restore balance, clarity, and vitality in ways you may never have imagined. 3. Disrupted sleep cycles from irregular light exposure. And when movement fades, something even more subtle begins to unravel: your internal rhythm, the body's natural clock that tells every system when to wake, when to rest, when to heal. Most people don't realize how deeply their health depends on something as invisible as light. But after 80, your circadian rhythm, the delicate 24-hour cycle that governs your sleep, energy, mood, digestion, and even your immune response, becomes more sensitive than ever. And what throws it off balance isn't something dramatic. It's what you stop doing. You stop going outside in the morning. You spend more time indoors, especially in winter. You leave the TV on late or read under bright lights long into the evening. And over time, your brain no longer knows when it's supposed to be alert and when it's supposed to rest. The consequence? You feel tired during the day, but wired at night. You sleep 8 hours but wake up foggy. Your energy never quite peaks. Your mood flattens. And your memory, that once sharp companion, begins to fade at the edges. I remember Helen, 84, who came to me exhausted and disoriented, but with no clear cause. Her labs were fine, her medications unchanged. But when I asked about her routine, she admitted she hadn't stepped outside before noon in months. She often watched TV until midnight. She said, "The world just feels slower these days." But it wasn't the world, it was her rhythm breaking down. So we tried something simple, 20 minutes of sunlight before 9 a.m., sitting near a window, no screens 1 hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, she was sleeping deeper, waking clearer, even laughing more. That's the power of light. Your body isn't just a machine, it's a living clock. Bright morning light resets your brain, tells your metabolism to start working, and sparks energy across your whole system. Darkness in the evening signals melatonin to flow, preparing you for the deep, healing sleep your body depends on to recover and protect. And without that contrast, light in the day, dimness at night, your body stays confused. It's like trying to read a map without knowing where you are. And beyond sleep, there's another hidden consequence, vitamin D. As you age, your skin produces less of it, even when exposed to sunlight. But without enough, your bones weaken, your muscles ache, and your immune system falters. That's why even a few minutes of morning sun can be transformative. And no, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to go jogging at dawn. Just sit by a window. Step outside with a cup of tea. Let your eyes and skin register the light of the living world. That alone tells your body, we're still aligned, we're still here, and it's time to begin again. So if your nights are restless and your days feel like a blur, don't reach for another supplement or sleep aid just yet. First, reach for the sun. And as we move into the next section, we're going to look at a different kind of weight many people carry after 80, one that doesn't show up in blood work but lives quietly in the chest, the emotional burden of grief, loss, and the things we never gave ourselves permission to feel. 4. Emotional suppression from loss and isolation. And while disrupted sleep can rob your body of clarity, energy, and resilience, there's another weight that drains you in ways no lab test can detect, a silent pressure that builds with every year you live and every loss you carry. Here's the hard truth. Your heart can appear calm, your voice steady, your smile present, and yet deep inside, your body may still be grieving something you never allowed yourself to fully feel. This is the quiet suppression of emotion that so often happens after 80. The longer we live, the more we lose. A spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend. Sometimes even a child. And while the world around us may offer polite sympathy, a card, a hand on the shoulder, no one truly tells you what to do with the ache that lingers long after everyone else has moved on. So many older adults believe they should be used to it by now. They try to be strong, to carry on, to not burden others. But in that strength, something vital gets buried. I once sat with a man named Robert, 86, whose wife had passed the year before. He didn't cry. He said, "It's just life. You get through it." But within months, he lost weight, stopped attending his usual coffee mornings, and struggled to sleep. Not from illness, but because his body was holding sorrow that had nowhere to go. And here's what you must understand. Grief that isn't expressed doesn't disappear. It settles in your muscles, in your breath, in your immune system. And slowly, it rewrites how your body functions, quietly tightening everything from your chest to your gut to your spirit. You might feel off and not know why. You might be more fatigued, more anxious, less motivated, but there's no clear reason. That's the cost of emotional suppression. And it often hits hardest in the decades when we're told to slow down, stay quiet, and keep our feelings to ourselves. But healing doesn't come from silence. Healing comes from giving yourself permission to speak the unspeakable, to cry when no one's watching, to whisper, "I still miss you," without apology. Whether it's through a journal, a trusted friend, a faith group, or simply sitting still with the memory of what was, the act of feeling is not weakness. It's maintenance. It's survival. In fact, people who live the longest and most fulfilled lives are often not the strongest physically, but the most emotionally open. They don't pretend losses didn't hurt. They allow those losses to shape them, but not define them. And when emotion has a place to move through you, your body doesn't have to hold it anymore. So if you've been feeling heavier in the chest, shallower in your breath, or more distant from yourself than you used to be, ask not what's wrong with your health, but what you've never let yourself grieve. Because sometimes, the most important medicine isn't found in pills, but in the words we never spoke and the tears we never shed. And now, as we move forward, there's one more invisible force that shapes how we age, one that slips away so slowly, Most people don't even notice it's gone until their days feel empty and their energy has no anchor, the loss of daily purpose. 5. Gradual loss of daily purpose. And once the emotions you've buried begin to quiet your spirit, what often remains is an unsettling stillness, not in your home, but in your purpose. One of the most invisible but powerful forces behind the decline many older adults experience after 80 is this: not having something meaningful to do every day. And I'm not talking about a grand, philosophical sense of purpose. I'm talking about the small, human-sized ones, the kind that give shape to the day, that anchor your morning, that make you feel like your presence still matters. Here's what most people don't realize. The body doesn't just follow biology, it follows meaning. When your mind stops finding a reason to engage, your body quietly begins to shut down too. I remember a woman named Ruth, 88, who lived alone after her husband passed. She wasn't rich, didn't have a big family, and had a few health problems, but she never felt old. Why? Because every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins at her church. Every Thursday, she cooked soup and froze portions for a local shelter. Every day at 4 p.m., she sat by her window to wave at the neighborhood kids walking home from school. She knew their names. They waved back. That simple ritual, predictable, quiet, consistent, was the rhythm that kept her alive inside. And this isn't just sweet anecdote. It's science. Studies have shown that seniors with a strong sense of daily purpose have better cardiovascular health, stronger immune function, lower rates of depression, and even reduced risk of cognitive decline. Why? Because purpose activates engagement. It gets you out of bed, moves your muscles, stimulates your brain, and gives your emotional world direction. But when that structure fades, when you no longer have a garden to tend, a pet to feed, a call to make, or a reason to walk to the mailbox, your days start blending into each other like gray watercolor. You begin to sleep more, but feel less rested. Eat more, but enjoy it less. Move slower, speak less, and question whether anyone even notices anymore. That's not aging. That's erosion. And it doesn't have to be that way. One of the most important questions I ask every patient over 80 isn't about medication or blood pressure. It's, what's something small you look forward to every day? And if the answer is silence, I know where we need to start. Because the body listens to that silence. It mimics it. And before long, the silence spreads. But here's the beautiful part. It only takes one small act, one ritual, one reason, one interaction to begin restoring shape to your days. Maybe it's writing a note to someone you love, feeding the birds, stretching with music, checking in on a neighbor, learning one new thing a week. Whatever it is, make it yours. Make it small, but make it consistent. Because that little purpose isn't little at all. It's the thread that ties your mind and body together and reminds you, I'm still part of this world. And as we bring this journey to a close, there's one truth I want to leave you with. Most people don't fade after 80 because of a dramatic fall or medical event. They fade because of a slow, quiet loss of motion, meaning, rhythm, and connection. But just as the fading was gradual, so too can the revival be, one step, one breath, one habit at a time. So now that we've explored the 5 hidden reasons why so many older adults struggle to live fully past 80, let me leave you with a truth that has become crystal clear to me over more than a decade of working with seniors. People don't just grow old because of time, they grow old because they stop engaging with the very things that made them feel alive. Most of the time, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come with sirens or warning signs. No one wakes up and says, today I'll stop laughing, or today I'll stop moving, or today I'll stop matching. No, it happens slowly, quietly. A missed conversation here, a skipped walk there, one sleepless night followed by another. A painful loss that's never fully acknowledged. A morning without purpose that fades into a day without shape. And one by one, those small withdrawals build into a wall, separating people from the lives they once led, the people they once were. But here's the beautiful part, and I need you to hear this clearly. What fades can be rekindled. Even after 80. Even after grief. Even after silence and stillness have settled in. Your spark is still there. It's waiting for you. And it doesn't ask for dramatic change. It asks for consistency, for courage in the smallest of acts. All it takes is one connection, one step, one conversation, one decision to step back into life instead of away from it. Aging well isn't about denying time or pretending we're young forever. It's about honoring what time has given us, wisdom, experience, stories, and using those to craft a life that still has structure, rhythm, and meaning. It's about staying open, staying curious, and most of all, staying visible. Because you still matter. Your body still responds to your choices. Your brain still wants new input. Your heart still longs for purpose. And your story, it's not over. Not even close. If anything in this video spoke to you, if you saw yourself or someone you love in these stories, then I want to ask you for something simple but important. Please take a moment to like this video. It tells us that these messages matter. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because we're here every week sharing practical, honest, and hopeful ways to stay strong, healthy, and independent as we age. And most of all, leave a comment below. Tell us, which part of this video resonated with you most? Did you recognize a habit you've let slip? Did you think of someone who needs to hear this? Or maybe you have your own insight, your own practice that helps you feel alive at this stage of life. Share it. This community is filled with wisdom, and your voice could be the one that helps someone else take their first step back toward vitality. Thank you for watching, for staying with me to the end, and for choosing to care about how you age. You are not fading. You're shifting. And from this moment forward, you get to choose how you move, how you connect, how you rest, how you feel, and how brightly you keep shining. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep moving, keep reaching, and most of all, keep showing up. You still have so much to give.